to say, well done, we've remembered to record. I'd like to say I'm really pleased that Manjit can be here. As most people here know that I've got a very strong love and passion for Kolkata. And I have done Manjit's Kaleidoscope Walk several times every time I come to Kolkata with visitors, I say, you have to go and do this walk. It's the best introduction to Kolkata. And so I'm not going to tell you, but I'll just sort of say it's really special what Manjit does, and it's a special city, and he's doing a great job to make sure that we can access those communities. And so he will take us to Calcutta this evening. So I will hand over to Danielle. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, so
no.
I thought I'll just do this. So my friend, she's visiting. So I'm going to talk about Calcutta, but right now I'm in Jaipur, which is kind of. So hi everybody. Sorry for being or not being there. It's just been crazy because when the seminar started, just before that I was in the US, and then season kicked, and then it's like, which is good, right? We all need work. So especially after the pandemic, when there was a point when you thought, are we ever going to meet people again? So it was great. So a little bit about me. I am third generation in the city. My granddad came in from Punjab, and the carpenter by profession, settled in the carpentry district. Dad was born in Punjab, came here for high school, and then I was born and raised in the city. And I'm a photographer by profession, but so most of my work is dedicated to the city. I've been very lucky to have my images reach indirectly to England as part of the Totally Thames Festival, which was there was like a exhibition of my photography of Durga Puja for a month. Yeah, so that was fab. So essentially, the city and its people. I take a lot of pleasure in shooting the mundane, which is essentially, it's sometimes it just is so mundane that we kind of forget it. It's just all around us, but then you just need it to be pointed back, and then. So the whole idea behind starting Calcutta Photo Tours was to showcase, something beyond the tourist point of, I mean, you just come in and you do the odd Victoria Memorial or say the museum or stuff like that. And there's much more, because the city lives in its streets and the people. And being a street reportage people photographer, I had that access. And so my love for the city, my love for photography, and the fact that I wanted to show people what made me me, and the proverbial give back to the city kind of thing. Also, be the change you want to see, because I was not really happy at the way the city was being shown. It's as far as photography is concerned, there was a lot of I mean, I would get emails from photographers saying, "Oh, we want to shoot the slums," and I would say, "Oh, there's more to the city than just slums." And then one thing led to another. Before I delve into the specific tour that we're talking about, I just want to share this little video that my friend Danielle, who was visiting India for the first time, when she visited the city, what was her impressions of the city? And this is somebody who'd never been to any Asian country. She starts with the city, and the fact that this was her, her impressions of the city were very special. And I knew this one. I need to keep in touch with this one. So she's right here, because if this is what somebody sees for the first time, it's special. So do I have sharing rights? Kind of forgotten how to. Okay, share. Yeah, somewhere here. Share screen. Yeah, okay, good. Wow, okay, shouldn't look like that.
You should have a green.
Oh, do I have access?
Maybe you, or you just.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, okay. Whiteboard, iPad, advanced files. Sorry.
Henry, is it multiple share?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have it. I think I have it.
Yes.
Open. Ooh, okay. Okay. I haven't used. Okay. System settings. Okay, let's try it again. Sorry. Okay, yeah, good. I see it now. Here we go. Yeah, I know. Okay, all good.
Yep,
Can you
great.
guys? Okay, awesome. Here we go. Diana? Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So this was just before the world shut down. This is January 2020, and lives change for each of us. But I think this was so special the way this was documented. How many of you been to India? Has everybody been to India? Okay, so just Dell. Okay, Henry, you've been to India. Okay, Charles. Yeah. No. Yes. No. Yeah. Okay. Like I love to say. Okay. Like I love to say. You know, you come to India and either you love it or you hate it. You can't come to this country and say, oh, I went to India and it was okay. You don't okay this place out. It's um, and I so Calcutta for me essentially I would say is if India is a thick fat book of paradoxes, Calcutta is the thickest chapter that's ripped from the spine, thrown at your face, and if you can handle it, good. If you can't, Calcutta is not going to be pretentious for you. It is who she is. It is, um, and because it is so real, it. I mean, I'm obviously nobody can be perfect. So there are things I hate about the city, and I say, oh, yeah. But I guess it's an ongoing love-hate relationship. You when you love somebody as much as you love the city, then you also get into a lot of fights because you want it to be perfect. So that's essentially my relationship with the city. The Culture Kaleidoscope Tour, which is one of my biggest sellers, and as I was talking to Wally earlier today, because I was like, why have I got myself into this? Why did I say yes to this? So I just wanted to make sure that what I was thinking was the right track. And Ali pointed out the amount of press this tour has given me. The fact that the Wall Street did a full pager, the Guardian did a full pager, the fact that this tour has been voted top 10 things to do in India on TripAdvisor for 2 years, and yeah, yeah, Daniel's screaming from the back that Steve McCurry's been on a tour with me for like 5 days, and the fact that I, as a kid, started out thinking that all neighborhoods look like this neighborhood. I remember as a kid hearing drums beating during Chinese New Year, and we as kids running out to see lion dance and dragon dance happening on the streets. And then my dad's best friend, who was a Muslim, would send in like the best piece of meat after Qurbani. The fact that we could get fresh wood-fired oven fruitcakes for Christmas, and obviously the big Durga Puja festival. So as a kid, when you're living in that neighborhood, the neighborhood that I belonged to, where the Culture Kaleidoscope Tour starts, you think that the whole world is like that. Everybody's celebrating everybody's festivals, all festivals sort of being executed or enjoyed in complete exclusiveness. Nobody cutting corners saying, hey, the neighbors aren't really Bengali, so we should tone down the celebrations or something like that. Everybody doing the whole thing and all being so inclusive. I thought that was what was how the world was. That's the norm. I mean, that's how the things happen. And then you grow up, and you grow up. You lose innocence. I guess it's and you realize that you are actually blessed to be in the neighborhood where the Buddhist monks would be jiving to Bee Gees and Wham just because it's Christmas celebrations happening around the corner. And because I was looking at everything from a photographer's point of view, because that is how I'm creating. That's my creation. And that's how I interact with the city. That's how I celebrate what's my home, my culture. That's how I'm sharing my stories. It was just the next logical step that I should share this with the rest of the world, because this is not how the rest of the world looks like. And that's how the Culture Kaleidoscope Tour happened. So I mean, the Culture Kaleidoscope Tour for me, it's more like the Truman Show. It's like it cannot be real. I mean, that trail is fake. Yeah, it's like it is, you know, all people who I meet on the trail are paid actors, and all the places that they are interacting out of are cardboard boxes. And the moment I take a turn, they just fold and leave, and they collect payment for putting up that show. It's the whole thing is an art piece. That's 15 years of doing that trail, and I still feel that it cannot be true that, you know, you take a turn, and the ethnicity of the people changes. You take a turn, and the smell that emanates from the neighborhood, because, you know, a particular community is using a particular set of spices to cook a particular kind of meal, is different from the one that was earlier. The architecture changes. It just gets busy. It just suddenly gets quiet. Because when I created the tour, I created it like in an early morning scenario. So these neighborhoods later on become very homogeneous wholes, like, you know, they become commercial neighborhoods and stuff. And it's very fleeting, this whole thing. But early morning, it just gets so enhanced that you actually feel that, you know, we just moved to a different community. And it's fascinating because when I started walking these neighborhoods, part of it is the first stretch is obviously home. That's where I grew up. So, you know, people who I say hi, or who stop by to even say hi to the guests who come onto us. Some of them have, you know, have seen me, you know, with like, you know, unruly hair, or, you know, going to school holding my dad's hand, or, you know, it's years of relationship. And some obviously has started from you know, when I meet people, and, you know, there's highs and hellos, and one thing leads to another, and then they say, oh, you know, how's. So it's because I did not start it on a commercial you know, note, or I did not start it with like, oh, I am going to be showcasing that. The view that I give people who are walking with me is this. It's not this. You know, you're not looking into people's lives. You are part of their lives, and that for me is very fulfilling, because that's essentially what the city is like. Like somebody would come on a tour from New York. She said, "This Calcutta's New York on crack." Yeah. It's this whole part of this whole, you know.
You've gone on mute, Manjit.
Oh, I went on mute. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh. Can you hear me? Yeah. Ali,
Yes.
can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes,
I can hear you.
you went on
Yeah.
mute.
Yeah. So, like I said, you know, it's like it's this whole melting pot of cultures, but on a bloody high, because, you know, you don't do moderation in India. You know, moderation is for monks. You know, you don't do that in India. So, and then that a neighborhood like this exists where you know, third generation Chinese are speaking in Indian languages. I remember this particular occasion where you know, a young American girl whose family was moving because her father got, you know, sort of stationed in China, was learning Chinese in school, and there was this, you know, she's what, third generation in the US, non-Chinese, but of another ethnicity, and she's talking in Chinese to this fifth generation Chinese in India. Yeah. And, you know, obviously the first thing is, which dialect do you speak? You know, is it Mandarin, or is it Hokkien or something? And it's amazing that I can actually you know, move into, you know, and then I am not, and nothing is lost in translation, because, you know, I don't even know the language to translate, where somebody from, say, the US is talking to somebody in India in a language which is different from both languages from both the nations. And and this connection that I can sort of forge between people who are coming visiting just elevates it from just a touristy, like a tourist experience to something which is more meaningful, and um, it highlights the people, that it highlights um, you know the communities or the cultures which kind of get lost when you're doing like a classic tour where you're doing just points of interest or something like that. You're walking through the streets, you are connecting with the real people, which I think is one of the reasons why the tour is so popular, why it got the press it got, uh, why people recommend, why people like Ali have been on this tour for multiple times, because I can't orchestrate who's going to come in and say hi to me, because the people going about doing their things, and the tour changes every day. That's essentially what's so much fun for me, because I am I'm just walking through my neighborhood as I would with a bunch of people who are welcome because these people know me, and they extend the same welcome to the people who are on the tours. So it just makes it like, as so many people have written on TripAdvisor review, it just felt like they were walking with a friend through his neighborhood, which kind of gives it a very authentic feel to the whole thing, because that's essentially what it is for me. Money is an obvious byproduct. We need it to survive, but the reason I do this is because I am actually in awe that such a neighborhood exists. Where it's not even that you're walking for 15 minutes to go to the other neighborhood. You take a turn and the neighborhood changes. It's like, how on earth did this actually happen? So the fact that there are 3 synagogues in the city, and each of those synagogues have Muslim caretakers who've been caretakers for generations, who've been keeping those synagogues to pristine condition. In today's day and age, it's just a slap on humanity's face. I think it's like, hey, things like these can happen. I'm very lucky that I can do this. I'm just a little medium. I'm just this conduit who's connecting people who have come looking for an experience of a city which is like no other city, um, uh, and I'm really happy that I can pass on this experience. The fact that in roughly like a 2-kilometer radius, we touch about 8, 9 communities without really having to jump neighborhoods, and it's all cohesive. Pretty much like the song "Ebony and Ivory." It's is fascinating that I could do that. And what it has done is, I remember when I started off, a lot of these buildings were run down. A lot of these places, because they weren't classic tourist places, would not get the attention that they deserve. And now there are a few other people who are doing tours, even standard guides who would do very classic points of interest kind of tours have started going into these lanes and talking about them. More photos have gone out because thankfully, because there've been so many photographers on the tour, professional photographers, so they've obviously documented and shared it with their communities, and there are a lot more different photos of the city, barring those classic, I mean, again, not taking away anything from anybody, but the missionaries of charity, or say the Victoria Memorial, or Calcutta does have a huge colonial hangover. I mean, which other city in India would have toured in a hole around Christmas? I mean, it's crazy. But that's the city. It's like it's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, I say that I live and love in a city. I love and live in a city which is a little bit like everywhere, but nothing like anywhere. It's a whole. By the way, just as a side note, all the people who love gin and tonic can thank the city because that's where it started. You know, people were sipping tonic water because it had quinine, you know, and you needed to ward off malaria. So next time you raise a glass of GNT, just thank my city. And we guys gave you that as an antidote, but nevertheless. So as I was saying, a lot of these places which were run down, which would not, you know, really be on the tourist map or really be on, say, the tourism department's radar has come. So there's these little blue blocks that are coming up, and people are identifying some old Chinese temples. You know, there's I recently was in the Dalhousie Square area, which is a different area from the culture tour, where I saw a sign saying Firpo's. That was one of the first Italian restaurants of the country. It was a rundown building. Nothing in that on that building, you know, even says or even suggests that it was an Italian restaurant, but it is there. And then there's a little blue plaque that's come up, and I think it's all the collective good of all the people who've been showcasing the city in a different way. I'll take a little bit of credit because I started 15 years ago. It's put in a lot of things that were not really on the tourist radar on that. So I feel that I've managed to contribute a little bit to the city that gave me home and gave you know, my ancestors home. You know, being third generation. It's very rewarding that you know, when that happens. So the fact that the synagogues would be would not be open to public, and now people can actually go in and appreciate the Magen David. There was a photograph of the Bima a while ago. Is one of the fanciest in Asia. You know, that's in Calcutta. Yeah. The fact that I give so many people their first visit to a synagogue in India is very fascinating for me. It says, oh, you know, we've never been to a synagogue. And, you know, we're doing that, just snooze. And that we're doing that here in India is, oh, just dismiss, sorry, my alarm going off. It's okay. It's funny. That's actually an alarm to switch off Viator bookings because I go to sleep at 10:30 usually, and you know, and so I need to know if anybody's signed up for the tour. So, and that's when that's the cutoff. That's when I switch off tours for the next day. So it's funny that that's going on. Yeah. I would love, you know, all of you who haven't been to India, you can start with my city. It's kind of deep end of the pool, but it only looks like that. So my city is these Harley Davidson. I mean, sorry for the cliches, but it's this Harley Davidson drivers, you know, with their tattoos and their leather jackets and everything. But deep inside, they are little sweethearts. You know, they just look that. That's the city. You know, you come to the city and say, "Oh my God, why am I here?" It's because it's so dense, it's so populated. But one of the sweetest cities, I think. You know, yeah. I mean, it's my open welcome that all the people who can, you know, who would come in. You know, start your love story with Calcutta. Your India love story for all those who haven't been. I'd love to show you around. Yeah.
Great, that's fantastic, Manjit. It's really lovely to hear. So I'm sure people are bursting with questions.
Oh yes, please.
About the city and about your process and about the people and how it's impacted the people on the walk. So would anybody like to kick off the questions or the discussion?
Sure thing. Fire away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated to hear how you arrange it. logistically how long your tours last and where people stay and what level of involvement you structure into your program, other people from your community, and how much you take on yourself.
So because I'm such a loss of control kind of a guy, so there were a few friends who were helping me out doing that because, fellow photographers. But then one of the reasons why the tours and the company is so special to me is that I kind of, it's a very bad business sense, but I kind of, I stall every time I want to, I have this intentions of making it assembly line. I know it's the wrong business model. That's not how you cannot be doing two tours. Some of them just require to be done in the morning. So right now it's just me. But hopefully I'm always on the lookout for, people. Plus, I also feel that most of these are my personal relationships that I've forged. Um, so if I'm really going to do something as authentic as this, I need to lead. But then that's the whole thing. I am right now in the process of creating more trails uh, with other people for whom another separate neighborhood would be special to them. Um, so the same thought, because this neighborhood has a connection to me, and when I'm showcasing it, I'm showcasing my relationship with these people. I am in the process of hopefully finding other people who would have connections with other neighborhoods or something like that, because that is the fabric that I want to create of this, because that's important to me, because the whole storytelling that comes from the the connection. Also, I'm not showcasing these as people on display, because these are my personal connections. So I'm very protective also about the community in a way that I because I live there. It's not that I come in, I eke a living out of that place and then I just disappear. These are people who I meet every day, even on days that I don't have tours. So that's essentially that. And we as human beings, especially when you're taking a lot of photos, because all my tours are very visually stimulating, you could start off with taking photographs, which is art, and then roughly about 2.5 hours later, you're just taking snapshots, because that's your attention span. So that's it's 2.5 hours, 3 hours, because they are full on. So that's roughly the thing. And yeah, and the guests could stay anywhere. They just come to the starting point, or I do transfers from hotels. That's how it works. And then most of my tours are early morning, so it kind of leaves, I kind of whet their appetite, and then they can go seek and do other stuff, because you can come back, so you have the whole day. No worries, you're welcome, Sharkan. Yeah. So yeah, so that's so yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome, Henry.
Charlie, you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Manjit. Very takes me back to Calcutta, and I just walked around it on my own, actually, so I didn't have an expert guide. And this question probably has come up again before on these meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, it's a unique situation, Calcutta, completely different. But I mean, it's obviously pitched your work and walk as very much a tourist walk, very much about celebrating the city through a sort of tourist perspective.
Right.
I've been involved. I mean, London has it exactly the same, but I mean, I've been involved in Marseille as well, where there's a sort of counter alternative or tourist walking, which is really to say, to say tourism maybe is a problem, actually, not.
It is a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged
Yeah.
sword, I think.
I mean, there's so many issues to talk about there, but obviously people are always going to go to India, and it's much, I guess it's much better that they have a kind of tour with someone like yourself than, but I don't know if there are any I don't know if the Indian Tourist Board does as a kind of tourism. I mean, there are masses of issues, I suppose, to do with communities and walking, and how you include the communities, and whether you're extracting too much from them. Do you pay the people who are involved in the walks? What, I mean, I'd have no idea what goes on.
Yeah. So, like I said, you know, I mean, if I could say, so my currency is friendship. My currency is stories. Um, so there are times when I go through neighborhoods, and because you're very true. I mean, tourism is a problem. You know, sometimes when you think that's it is like, it is a double-edged sword, right? I mean, you come in, and then you know, everything goes. Every guest walking is money bags, you know, because you know what you can extract. But for me, I have never tried to. That's I get money out of this, you know, out of the you know, the whole equation as soon as possible. That's why my prices are on the website. So you know, yeah, Indian, non-Indian, staying in a 5-star, you know, a backpacker, whatever. So the prices are there. So and I never let the guests pay for anything, if there's food, or if there's anything, or if you know, there's some guy or some person who's there, and he says, you know, you can take a photo of me, but you have to pay me. And I say, okay, you know, because I know him. So I say, so, okay, this guy does not like his photo being taken. Because the moment you bring in money, you just mess the equation up. So I do my own bit with with the community. Uh, many times people would come in with, say, back to school supplies, and say, hey, we're looking at, is there a non-profit that you know, we can donate these you know, these color pencils or erasers, or wherever. And I would say, oh, there's this set of people who go to school with, they don't have a lot of resources, so maybe you could give it to them. I do a lot of printing of photos and bring them back, because it's funny. And this is something I realize, how many of us, you know, we spend an entire life in a particular organization, or in a particular office that we are, but our families never really visit us. You know, they've never seen our workspace, something that's kind of supported. And then many of these communities that I show, they are actually immigrants from other cities, and when, you know, you give those photos back, they actually can take the photo back to their families and say, hey, this is where I work, you know, this is where I make tea for a living, or something like that. So so my contribution back to the people is because I'm not really making them stop their work and say, hey, pose for me. Most of the people, they just say, they just look at me and say, oh, you know, he's back again, how's your day? And if he's busy, he just keeps on working. And that essentially is what is appreciated by the people, because, you know, nobody's stopping and doing, hey, you know, or this, you know, none of that is happening. People just, you know, you're just experiencing life, and I'm not stalling anybody from doing anything. So uh, so I mean, and if there is an opportunity, I remember this particular fish seller, she needed a passport photo for something. And she said, I don't know where to get it, but I need to apply for something, and I need a passport photo. Do you think you can? So I took her to a little clean wall, I took a photo of her, and then gave her a set of passport photos, because, you know, and then she just got it delivered where she sells her fish after like 3 days or something. So I have my own way of doing back, you know, giving back to the community, but it's not in cash. And yeah, and so it's I mean, it has come to a place where even beggars don't ask me for money. It's like, it's like, hey, I said, okay, I'll see you at the corner. Let's have some chai together. That's where it is. So, so when the tour ends, the people feel that they've like walked with a friend and not that they've not been a tourist on the trail. So that's essentially, I want to keep on doing. Yeah. Sorry, I want to keep on this. Yeah.
Can I underline what Manjit
Sure.
is saying, really? Because as somebody who's been on one of these walks, it is a very intimate experience. And yes, you're there as a tourist, as a visitor, but kind of under, holding on to the skirts of Manjit, it becomes a very intimate experience. And as people say in fly on the wall documentaries, that if the person with the camera is there long enough, everybody forgets they're there. Then because Manjit has been doing this, is known anyway, but has been doing this for 15 years, people, they sort of notice you out of the corner of their eye, I'm sure. But yeah, it's this, same old Manjit and a bunch of foreigners. And so, and they're very diverse, busy neighborhoods. It is early in the morning, but people are going about their daily tasks, and they've got their things to do as you pass through. And one of them is kind of acknowledge Manjit and his flock. And it's a small flock, so it's quite low profile.
Right.
And yes, it is tourism because it's strangers coming into a community and looking at the community. But yeah, it's low profile, it's intimate. It's I think you take nothing but memories, really.
Thank you. It means a lot. Yeah.
And
I guess
can I add to that, Ganal? So out of all the British tourists that go to India, 2% of them visit Calcutta. So Calcutta doesn't have a tourist problem like Rajasthan might have a tourist problem, or Barcelona might have a tourist problem. So Calcutta has probably an issue about image. And I think that what Manjit is doing is allowing access to, it's a very old Calcutta, which has luckily survived. In a lot of the other cities, I just was in Bangalore last week or whatever, you can't see old Bangalore hardly at all anymore. And so this sense of all these multiple communities coexisting in that part of Calcutta is a real gem. And it doesn't, even though as tourists are arriving in India for the first time are sort of in a strange environment, I think that what Manjit does is create an atmosphere where you don't feel strange and you don't feel too much like a voyeur outside of it, because you're there chatting with those people, because Manjit's created that space for that. And I think it's and I've never been on one where there's more than 8 people at most, and it's 3 or 4 hours. Manjit always says it's as long as it takes. So, which, and the more questions you have and the more time you want to take as a group, you're there for a long time. So I think it's really special. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted him to be able to share.
Thank you so much to me. Thank you.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to have to sort of pop off now, but Henry's hosting this. So thank you, Manjit, and thank you, everybody. And I'll see you next month. So great that you could all be here. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you, Manjit. It's been lovely to see the love that you have for your home city.
Thank you.
And that part of the community of your home city. So you've been doing it for 15 years. So I'm wondering, is this a love that just continues forever?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean,
you're just going to continue doing these walks for as long as
as long as, because now, I mean, now, yeah, I was into software 2 lifetimes ago. I was into the family business, which was printing and graphic design, a lifetime ago, and now this is all I do. So, I really don't have anywhere else to go and to do anything else. And like I say about relationships, the older the relationship, the harder you have to work, because it does not, so the more you know, the more you start seeing, oh, this is not good, or that's not good. So, but then instead of, you try to do your little bit, or you try to understand it better. What's been really amazing for me, I think, is that it's given me a dual pronged view to the same thing. So part of it is I understand because it's part of my DNA. Like people say, how do you know the Indian nod means a yes, no, or a maybe? It's part of your DNA. You do that, and I know. Oh, so he doesn't have a bottle of Coke, but it sounded like just the other day there was this person, and she said, can I take a photo? And this guy made a thing, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, he said you can take a photo. She said, oh, I thought. So it's there's some things that I just know because and then there's some things which I know because people asked a question for something that was kind of evident, but was not evident enough for somebody else, which kind of makes me think is how do I know, but they don't? Part of it is because I grew up, but then what is the special thing about this one, which kind of uh, um, makes me question the mundane and ordinary. So yeah, it's hard work because I really want this relationship to continue, and it doesn't feel like work. So that's the whole thing. It doesn't feel like work. I mean, which job would make you meet strangers from around the world, chat, have food, stop for chai, laugh, and then matter of factly get paid in the end? It's travel is a wonderful thing, and I think I have it sorted. I have travelers who come to me, share their stories, and then before leaving say, hey, here's a little something for the family. So yeah, it's a win-win situation for me. And it gives me purpose. It gives me it it gives me happiness to contribute back to the community, to the city. um you know no, it's special. Yeah, I want to keep on doing. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Leal.
Yeah, wonderfully energetic and vibrant, and yeah, definitely makes me want to join you at some point.
I'd love that. That would be so fascinating. Yeah, I'd love each and every one of you. Yeah.
Does anyone else have further questions or comments, or are we all done for today? Okay, so yeah, no, thank you again, Manjit. It's been a real pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah.
And yeah, we continue our series of talks.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be on it now, because yeah. Now I know everybody, so yeah, I did know a few.
Just a little heads up, next week there's a World Trails Network task team rendezvous, which essentially, so Ali and I are running the task team called Arts and Culture, through which we're delivering this series of seminars on walking, talking artists. But yeah, next week there is a rendezvous for all the different task teams who variously have different topics that they're focused on developing within the World Trails Network space. And yeah, there's an opportunity to come and listen to what other task teams are doing and volunteer subsequently if you feel drawn to doing so. So I'll share details with that in due course. But that's the admin out of the way. But yeah, thanks everyone for turning up, and I will now stop the recording. Just oops, oh no, have I? And let me just do this before we say goodbye.
Okay.